Good evening, Free Enterprise fans, and welcome to tonight's showcase of the Pink Puff League. We have their Lunar Tour tonight. I'm Scarcer. Joining us on the restream is Enja Dave. Joining us on tracking is Garen, and joining me in the comms booth is Deathlike. How are you doing tonight, Deathlike?
Doing well. But it's another exciting race. We're run. Oh, we're and I'm just excited for another piff. I mean, we got and with just exciting things to do. But I think this time Moon is fully required, and at least get to speed up our approach with starting Edge, which on the mini seed because that's you kind of want to speed up the early game by having Edge do a lot of the work. Though I think Seneki will slow him down a little bit, though.
Yeah, Sineki slows him down a little bit, but it's still Edge. He still starts at level 25. He's got good stats. He can dart a bunch of your junk loot. You'll be finding plenty of usable darts on T Wildish, especially if our runners, do a little bit of looting first. And with two grab bags, though, we might start with a dart or two.
Yeah, I mean, if you get some good darting, you don't even care what weapon he has. You can just it's all based on his level, and the better damage strictly level times the attack power you can have as inaccurate a weapon as let's see let's say it'll say it's like an ancient sword. It's like the 35 attack. I don't care about the accuracy. It does 35. It's 35 attack power, and the more levels Edge gains, the more damage it does. So helps to have more levels. So, but yeah, there um I'm hoping for Drain Spears because why not?
Drain Spear's definitely making use of the skipping the accuracy check for darts.
I'm I'll go.
I was just going to say that Drain Spears are such good darts that at some point in Free Enterprise's development, their price had to be bumped from 6K to 12K. We've got a Kane to join us with the Sand Ruby. So yet another, ooh, two heroin robes. This would have been killer in the last tournament.
Different characters can't make use of them, but the Sand Ruby check, I think first thing to do was like you have it, you might as well take advantage of it and just do it. I mean, so maybe a slight diversion from the standard fare, I think. So about the character, maybe pick him up a little bit later. I don't, it, you know, it's interesting to see what is decided here. I think, uh, and looks though it looks. I think I'm. Oh no, not definitely not peek in the Baron Inn for a little bit.
Looks like as far as weapons, they just got a mute knife, which for Edge you want to swing it rather than throw it, because it's, in my opinion, the best Edge weapon. Just Eddie and Baron Inn. Good to see him kind of out of the way and not our Sand Ruby character.
Hey, you still it's still a key item check, and you're still in before you're kind of ready for that fight. Even though we have an edge, but you still need a weapon. I mean, the new knife is great, but you still need a second one. But you're halfway. You're really halfway. I, I mean, sometimes a shop helps out early game if you can find a long katana. That is more than enough to fuel a run. But there are. So I'm not. It's still plenty of time to make sure Edge is online.
It looks like Soapbox is dove immediately for the Watery Pass, and free characters are on. So we have we have free and earned characters on. So shopping around for characters is going to be pretty neat.
I mean, we got the free character access would technically be Mysidia. You get the two free characters if you wanted that route. and you'll still bump into characters on the way. So if you try to get the hovercraft immediately, Vanilla Rosa in the bed, so that's quite nice. Though we heard, but that second white mage, it's fine. It's we you can't have you can never have enough berserk.
Well, with 2 heroin robes and 2 heroin robe users, looks like the ladies might be doing a little bit more damage, at least in the early game. Definitely outpacing Kane.
I would be tempted to yeet Kane later because Kane, well, I love him, but his weapon selection, we don't. I mean, since his weapon selection is dependent on jump to do most of the work, and if you've seen enough races, just having a Zerker is more efficient. You spend less time in the queue. You spend less time waiting for things to happen. But because of that, Kane is level's edge. So it's you have a berserker to come in. The first to go is going to be Kane. No doubt about it at this point.
Well, that all depends on who else we find. With C standard, the extra edges are going to be locked behind gated checks, and Cecil requires going all the way up Mount Ordeals, which it's a race. You want to go fast. Ordeals is 3 bosses. It's slow. Kano free is on, but are you going to gamble that your Darkness Crystal is behind a Demist on Mount Ordeals?
I mean, there are tournaments that fading Ordeals is a thing. I don't, considering early game, you incentivized to do it. So I mean, I guess it might be a thing. But then, scene races where everything is on, everything you're looking for is on Ordeals. So I would probably see what making that Ordeals fed, even if that was a thing.
It looks like the chief engineer was hanging out in Damsine Castle. I do think we saw an Earth Hammer in the Watery Pass loot, so he'll be able to put in some work for the early game. And if you thought Kane's weapons were bad, you're probably not a fan of Sid either.
Your best weapon is essentially either one of the top tier axes, which are not really top tier because of its accuracy, and then or going art bow and arrow, but you put that on either white mage you pick up, so it does not it's almost counterintuitive at that point. So although Sid's main use is going to be being the anchor at this point, unless there's a old man shows up in the form of Tel. Sid is going to be probably sticking around regardless.
As speaking of, we have got 2 of them. Soapbox says no to the second Sid, a probably wise decision. And Vanilla Antline. With 6 moon objectives, Antline's definitely somebody you want to see out of the pool early.
Line on moon means I kind of missed that. On to be fair, it's it's nature of things, and having the mute knife is making so fight much easier. There's something thinking about like fading early. Your choices are kind of interesting. You see, I mean, the top 3 things kind of faded early game is like the Antlion Cave, Mount Ordeals, sometimes for Bull because of the pan. I mean, you think it's interesting what you fade, and you're probably not going to get punished too much for it, but it will kind of show up in how and rate as outcomes. But generally, these kinds of fades are not as punishing. Just it's kind of time saving or shaving to be had here.
Yeah, these early game fades are definitely a lot less popular when it's just K main, so there's only the sort of story spots to be getting your stuff from. I can definitely see, and it seems that neither of our runners is going to go hunting for the pan before Fabul. It's a nice chunk of early game XP. You should get Rosa most of the way to Berserk for blues.
Well, getting it's probably really well in no, that's which is fine. But Porm's the first one to get Zerk, so I think that is you're more incentivized to get Porm to Zerk. I mean, obviously, when you have Rosa only in the case of Clips, that may, and you definitely want her levels, but it does take a little bit longer for her. So that difference will kind of be a difference. I'm not sure how much time that will be gained or lost by that, but it's a difference. But oh well, the slowest of slow fights
Yep.
here.
And both of our runners are entering relatively fast anchored. I think Soapbox is going with the edge anchor and oh, but Blues put a heroin robe on, so should be able to get something going right away.
Yeah, heroin protects against paralysis. One of the few pieces of armor that does it. The adamant is the other, but not in the flex set, so we're not expecting that to happen. But lucky selection of Rosa going down, it happens, but it could be worse. I mean, Soapbox could face the same thing as this particular scripted event is only 2 characters live, so so if it doesn't play out the way you want to, it happens. But I hope if you're Soapbox, hoping that Rosa isn't the last target, and is very fortunate to have that work.
It looks like, well, if Soapbox picked up that flame spear, both of our runners are in good shape. I do know Blues' Kane has one on. Golbez being weak to fire and all.
Yeah, fire. But in is available, you definitely want to have some fire, so that helps a lot. Edge can help, but I'm not sure what the weapon situation for Edge is outside of the mute knife, but could try a flame. But dart is just as efficient. Slumber not a great weapon, but still producing some decent damage there.
Yeah, the Slumber Sword is not a great weapon, but it is a good dart. There are races where I have won because I decided to pick up a stack of Slumber Swords in Fabul.
It's where you had a few limited options in darts or shop limit, like lower shop tiers. Are those because
it was a death set.
Oh, okay.
But it looks like Blues found a defense sword, arguably Kane's best weapon.
Yeah, I'm off of that. Oh,
and Soapbox also just sitting out in the open like that. Wonderful. Sheila's Closet has the goods.
Yeah, I mean, what's T Wildish? I mean, and even though it's max tiers at 6, you still have good opportunities to get some decent weapons here. So a defense sword, pretty neutral. If you don't want anything special on a weapon, but have solid attack power for a mid-tier weapon, well, it's slightly top. It's like slightly below top tier. Yeah, that is your go-to weapon. There are some other properties kind of more desirable on weapons. Sometimes like having the holy elemental, have this, or or like something like a dragoon spear. Well, but still very desirable. So, but defense sword kind of covers generic, kind of useful generic, and also can be thrown, which is actually probably the best thing if you don't want it anymore.
And it looks like both of our runners are taking a moment, probably to hunt for curse rings, checking the overworld shops. Curse ring would make the semi-fast moon spots more manageable, and they're almost lockstep going into Mysidia. 2 characters here, as we've mentioned before.
And Porum in her vanilla spot.
Oh, that's
Double.
vanilla Mycelia.
Well, I think there'll be some use to Yeet Kane for the Palom, probably. If Soapbox goes this way, I'm not sure about what Blues is gonna do, but just deciding don't need second White Mage.
Well, with a defense sword, you'd probably be more inclined to ditch Sid, though I didn't quite catch.
He didn't.
He didn't
go.
Looks like he either didn't change his party or swapped out the. Oh no, he had an empty slot for Palom. Right.
Oh yeah, blue. It makes sense. You want to speed up the seed. Soap did not even check. So we'll find out, and that it could be a difference. I mean, having a Palom speeds up a lot of the early to mid game because Quake Kid knows how to delete lots of enemy formations, especially with the Alt Gauntlet still lurking somewhere. And still a worthy spell, especially if the hook route is a thing we have to do. So it remains to be seen.
Yeah, it looks like Soapbox is visiting Antlion Cave. Gonna pick up Twin Harp there. And Blues is diving Eblin Castle, probably looking to get experience on that Palom. Probably noticed that there was an hourglass in the starting kits. Wanting to get some, maybe even a high tier item from one of the monster boxes.
Yeah, when you have hourglasses, it's worth the gamble. I'm not sure. I mean, we'll find out. It's only one hourglass, but that's still more than enough to get some decent levels. You got to get some of your basically no characters started. So you got no level gaining characters started. So I mean, their base level, you want the levels on them as quickly as possible. And this is a fortunate battle map. Both mages and visible, although that Charm Claw and Mute Knife won't do extra damage, as it only one racial multiplier is factored in, so you're not doing quad damage, singular quad damage, unfortunately. But still not a bad combination either way. See some use of the life glitch, very handy.
Yeah, getting 5 for 3 as it were. 7 levels on Palom. Shouldn't be terrible. At that point, going up Ordeals should be the rest of the XP needed for at least Virus. And hey, that's a pretty good dart, wouldn't you say?
Throw everything, except you can't throw the holiest of holy swords. So that's, I mean, for reasons, if you only could throw the crystal sword, that would be nice. But we'll settle for the second best sword and a vanilla Tella on Hobbs. I mean, Ordeals.
That's our 4th vanilla character.
I mean, I'm itching for some ice cream at this point. Just talking about all this vanilla. So this is interesting decision. It's actually understandable that the Porum serve that much, because you have to get her the levels. You might as well you're already here and you're already climbing off the mountain. It makes sense in the aspect that you don't need the MP pool. You just want the versatility. Kind of drives this decision, and there's a lot of utility in Tella. The few spells that you use from Tella are the ones that you might think they're not as useful, but they're really useful, and actually it holds up for at least from the early to mid game at the very minimum. So and an anchor, so you can yeet Sid later on upon finding a character you do want. Oh, it's yeeted.
It looks Looks like Blues is continuing the Monster Box dive, wants the full quake before heading up the mountain.
I mean, this is mostly a free fight when you have edge. You just do flame, so you kill the skulls. You're only and if you really need to play, you can try to use stop with Palom and though Fire 2 would be a nice spell, but Stalemans actually gets ice, but still more than enough. I guess Kane might missing some of the XP, but that's fine. We want him to learn fires. That is first step into speeding up the seed is having virus, even regardless of whether you get Quake.
So that was a set of Artemis arrows, and somebody's got a samurai bow. Hopefully both of our runners. Sammy, Artie, Heroine Robe, Rosa? Pretty respectable DPS.
I mean, you'll delete any of. I mean, I can't. It's hard to say through. I mean, probably not. I mean, you still limit in supply, but sometimes I mean, you can take advantage of like certain bugs, like the like Zerk bug, where you never consume the last arrow. The game.
Well, not quite now.
Well, not quite,
You
but
die.
it's mostly there. Yeah, there's some exceptions, but for the most part, if there is no interruption into the pew pew, it's very getting the infinite one arrow and it goes a long way.
This is kind of a rough back tech, the Kanyatso. It's about 3,600 here. So it's very close to the vanilla wave damage. Should be. Soapbox should be fine though. He's got a couple of beefier characters, some good DPS.
Yeah, the way HP the caster has, so you have to kind of delete a lot of the HP in order to reduce the damage. In tougher spots, you have to do a lot of work, get a lot of work to get him into a shell, to get him out of the wave, and it requires some work with the lightning items, which in many you just Thor's rage just to get that out of the way.
But it seems that Soapbox is making some good work off of some good luck, and even though he passed on Thor Rages, he made him.
It is worth the interesting decision. I thought Soapbox took the Tela, but no, he just took the equipment off of Tela. I think that might have been what. And getting second Excalibur, I'm sure we're ready to throw all the things. Yeah.
Ooh, and a crystal ring. With this party, the crystal ring is more valuable than the Excalibur. It's the best defensive arm piece in the game. It gives resistance to dragons, +5 agility, and that's the pain on Mount Ordeals. Our runners could have faded for Ghoul. Alas.
I mean, it's a decision. It would actually made more sense if the Tela was taken and the Porum was yeeted, but I mean, at this point, you rely on your White Wizards to do all the Zerking, and probably likely that the one who, well, the both of them has a Heron Robe. You might consider having one of them not have the Heron Robe, because Heron Robe, while making them awesome Zerkers, they become less of a white mage and become more of a utility mage, because healing depends a lot on the willpower of the character, at least for healing, and if you don't, unless you learn Cure 4 or rely on potions, it becomes kind of a difficult. They become more like Tela in the healing department. Not very good.
So it looks like Blues did take that advice of only equipping one heroin rope because he just sold the other one.
Yeah, I mean, it is tempting to have both.
Oop. Picking up an Ice Claw as well. And the Dwarf Axe to enable the back row glitch on Kane. Once a character equips a ranged weapon, the game forgets to remember whether or not they've taken it off. The back row bit is never disabled.
It's a feature. It's a feature. Although there are, I mean, there is a flag to turn that off. I think we have on, so it's fine.
At this point, it's off by default, and there's a flag turned back on. And it looks like Soapbox doesn't want to go check the harp, hoping that our underground access is right here in Baron Inn, right where we started all along.
Find out very soon who's right. Although it would be interesting if the Earth Crystal showed up for Soapbox, because then that routes favorably. I mean, it is still to be determined where our underground access is. It doesn't have, so it has to be whatever Baron is connected to, or it's literally harp. So it's a harp is connected to. It's you know.
It could be the long chain of Vanilla Earth Crystal into Baron Key into Hook.
I mean, Odin at this spot does punch really hard.
Yeah, it would have been kind of rough to rush this right away, but with a full party, and there's not a ton of magic power here. The Zantatskin probably still kills, but get Can in the air. It'll be all right. This spot is very slow, so I don't think that's a cursed Sid. This is probably like RA6 maybe.
I mean, you can kind of speed it up, but direct underground access. See,
no Hook route today.
Could be a surprise. Maybe the hook is, maybe the hook is at harp. You know, but
that would create some divergence.
It would be some, but I think a lot and doesn't have anything to kind of speed up this scenario, but it's fine. Although I think the split, that's good enough. That split damages usually murders Tella and Vanilla because he never gains enough HP to absorb that much.
It looks like Soapbox is still in the hunt for the Cursed Ring because he's not gone to Troya. But I do think this is the part of the seed where we shut up, as DJ Spoony B is going to play us a nice tune. Oh, and there it is, our Vanilla Earth Crystal. Lots of vanilla in this seed. It's pretty nice.
only we could replace actual instances of vanilla mentions to actual vanilla. Just say vanilla for fun. Like that would be something.
That would be wacky, I would think.
It would. So without any exit, source of exit, Eclipse is taking the long way out. Not even with this either. We have the only source of black magic was I don't think Blue has done Ordeals yet. I know Soapbox. One of them did.
Blues has not been up
Yeah.
Ordeals.
So yeah, at this point, Blues is just gonna do Zot to get. No, just almost faked me out for a moment. Probably will at least do this because not having Porum and not having seen him makes that decision probably for a climb. So while Soapbox may do Harp at some point, but you know, you have the character sometimes drives your decisions, and this is kind of one of them. But although at least for now, it's time to loot box all the thing.
Yeah. Even if Blues doesn't go up the Tower of Zot, the decision to loot the treasury is almost always a good one. Saw some premier darts there. I think I saw a Gungnir, defense sword, a white spear, all sorts of goodies.
So would you say it's dart over 10? Because that, I mean, there's no, although it wasn't much stuff you actually want to equip. I mean, you got like third, essentially third heroine robe. Longsword is nice, but you can't dart that. It's like kind of all the things. That's a treasury that only a ninja could appreciate.
Well, if there's another Kane up here on Zot or Cecil, they could have used one of those tier 6 weapons. It's pretty nice. So it seems that Soapbox is doing a little bit of a grind. Gonna get some XP, probably just to shore up the ability to do. Try to get the stone proc on a egg. It's very tricky because the stone procs take into, you know, sometimes the bow's accuracy will ruin you there.
Could use aim on that. That would help a little bit as a essentially maxes out the accuracies. But there is a kind of a bug where you put, if Rosa's in the middle slot, bonus to a maxed out causes a negative side effect, usually we call an overflow, and it just loops back down to a lower value because you know, overflow is what it is. Max stat, but you add 1 and it becomes 0 or some negative number. It's a fun thing.
Oh, here's D-Mist at the top of Zot. This will hopefully lead to another check, and darting the X-Cow, making use of the big number go big.
Yep. The best part about Dart, doesn't care about the properties, any other properties of the weapon. So Holy Sword, Kane had the Holy Spear, the White Spear, that is Holy Elemental, and D-Mist is Holy Elemental resistant. That's what made his damage not half as effective as it could be.
Ooh, Dr. Lunge at the Golbez spot. Not awful. Definitely one of the easier bosses to fight there.
Yeah, but you're the only kind of negative of things. I mean, it's still a fast fight, but you have it's a two fight sequence, so that's not the worst, but not it can't get that much. It slows down a little bit at the very least. It could be faster.
And that looks like the hook and the Luca key from the 2 Sheila checks. So this Zot check is not going to give Blues Eclipse underground access, and he's electing to forgo second edge. Confident in his party already.
I mean, second edge. Well, given the party comp, I mean, you'd replace Kanan, but you'd have to be concerned about how you get actual weapons on him. That's usually the concern about having a second outfit the edge.
Yeah, haven't found enough edge weapons. We've found plenty of Kane weapons though, so this is definitely an opportunity where you keep Kane. I think Blue's made a good decision here. Looks like Soapbox is wrapping up the Overworld, having done a little bit underground, going down to our harp check to give us a reprise of the music.
It's kind of unfortunate for Blues having a having this free boss fight in the form of King Queen Evelyn, who have kind of miserable spell stats. So their magic isn't very potent, and the Val spot is super fast. So I guess it could be a reprieve. But you'd always want a King Queen Evelyn on the moon, because it's the freest of fights. Moon spots have a lot of speed, but hey, we picked up the key, and we're gonna be here a little bit longer.
Well, I called it, but the entire prediction can't be correct, as Soapbox has already discovered both of the methods underground. This could pay off big for Blues if it turns out to be the Darkness Crystal, and
yeah, that has
being
to be
dropped off from Baron, he's going to get his Magma Key.
I think that, although just to be clear about the CPU fight, the flying orbs are really just because they look like they're hovering doesn't mean they're quakeable. But the only attribute that matters for quake immunity, things that float, to arrows or weak to projectiles. That is the only property that matters. So regardless of the visual you see.
Yeah, so a lot of the bosses that look like they're floating aren't, and some of the bosses that look like they're grounded are floating. Mylon Z is a floating boss specifically to give him immunity to Quake, in case you went and grinded your Palom to the early 20s. Do you remember who handed out the starting key item as our runners dive to Baron?
I wish I did. At this point, it doesn't. it's gonna. Spot does hold some decent HP, although could, I think, a slightly surprising amount of spell power. I mean, it's a Baigen, Baigen for what he is kind of crafty. So I don't know. We'll remember it. We'll try to recall in that what we started with a little more than half an hour ago.
And there's a reason not to remember, because it's a sparkle. If this is Ogopogo, it'd be a little annoying, as with anchoring, it usually gets a turn off. It's just Wyvern, and Blues is fast anchored, so there's a good chance he eats through this before we see the Witchburn. Oh, Hold Gas. Looks like it was row targeted, since the two front ones weren't affected.
Yeah, it's kind of it's trying to not having some limiting on the burn because hey, this is a randomizer and is can actually be pretty devastating at this spot. Kind of surprising, Blues Eclipse does actually have the Artemis arrows, but bought some charm arrows for a reason, and would have probably one-shot that Wyvern immediately, but it was no harm, no foul, but it's probably another like 15-30 seconds just spent on doing other things. And hey, we have a follow-up to hey, this guy.
And while you don't particularly want to be fast anchored for the Plague fight, you do in general want to be fast anchored for Baron. So Blues is on the right track being fast anchored. But with the Plague actually being a floating enemy that flies, the spear and the arrows hit for double damage and make short work of our floating friend.
Plague is actually more devastating with a fast anchor, and if this was like back attack mount Ordeals. That's been a bane of many runners where you just take to be at the spot and you have a fast anchor and an edge, and that can typically ruin a runner's just moment for just a bit. Even if it's a reset, that's time spent time to just doing whatever. And oftentimes on Ordeals, you the runners just do shoot breeze through first fight, go into the second fight, and sometimes that's at least a minute, 2 minutes just on that reset.
And here is a required long chain. Blues being paid off for diving the harp early. Has his darkness crystal. Doesn't even need to go underground. Still gonna stop by Rydia's mom for a key item. 17 out of 18 chance for something to be here. It's the Legend Sword. Supersmith is on, so if they find the Adamant Rock, that might be motivation to go underground anyways and see what's in store.
I think but for this track, I think you just want to go to the moon since your objectives are on the moon. I think you just want to, what the other to do is gonna literally be underground. There's opportunity. Obviously, I don't think Blues wants to go to the moon. At least open up underground, maybe shop, do a few things before going up. But that rarely do you see where you have like one runner has all the that has the moon access because all the objectives required are on the moon. This is an that this is, and there's a rare thing in a race where this happens, but this is like rare opportunity when you realize as a runner, at least if you realize as a runner, like, oh, the other route has to be this. This is like kind of dramatic, and it'd be interesting to see what comes out of it. But this is a point in time where it'd be interesting if different choices were made just as.
Yeah, perhaps we'll see a little bit of a divergence since Soapbox is already taking a lap underground. And as our tracker Garen has pointed out in chat, the Adamant Rock is the freebie from the Fame March in that chest which normally holds the rat tail. So our runners are probably both going to Forge, assuming Soapbox remembers to check the demist spot after finishing this chain.
I think it's definitely. I mean, it's worth doing. It's definitely worth doing Forge, given that at least in Blue's case, you have a cane. You're hoping to or at least a weapon for edge. I don't think like any top tier weapons have been gone for edge. I think they're sufficient, but they're not great. Like, it's good enough for the seed, but probably look for something better. Yeah, for this, just the seed alone, with the Supersmith being a random because it's not Sea Hero, kind of rigged in a certain direction, probably worth at least seeing what the outcome is for it.
Yeah, and even if the Smith weapon ends up being something unusable, the Forge shop is still the best shop on S standard. It can have tier 6 items that you might be wanting, a Stardust Rod for your Palom, glass hats, life staffs, a bunch of good stuff that can be found there.
Yeah, basically you shop for tier 6. That can be pretty valuable. I mean, I'm happy you have a store of just crystal rings and you call it a day. That's kind of probably one of the better item for, and if it's a weapon, I don't. You probably sell the farmer some of them if you need it. So there is some work at this stage for both our runners. You know, a lot of, especially when you get underground access, the shops are where it's at. So finding the sirens here in Tomra is really valuable, especially if you want to do even a quick scrambled egg grind. It's probably one of the kinds of things you want to get to kind of have all your advantages of. You shop for items. I mean, you want to think of life potions, cure 2 potions early on, and later on you want your really powerful items like sirens for your grind, or Bacchus wine, or whatever. Pretty much items that are kind of key to making that seed moving. Doing underground shopping, at least gated shops, are inevitably much more valuable than your average shop.
Yeah, if our runners find Bacchus wine, it means they can equip as many heroin robes as they want and not worry about the accuracy of Berserk. Power robe. That's very nice. Likely gonna buy 1 or 2 of those.
Farm for most of the, well, you don't have to sell the whole farm, but those 3 light spears or the Gungnir, you're fine. You're not even worried about it. You just need to buy as many stuff on. This party has 2 characters. Sid at this point, you're probably gonna use his anchor, not going to spend the power. But the ribbon, it's kind of nice, not critical. I mean, we're already past the Golbez fight, so the ribbon isn't as valuable. It's still valuable if you want the the magic defense, magic evasion, well, mostly the evasion. But ribbon doesn't, while having providing status bonus, provide any stat buff. So it's kind of those. It's a nice piece of armor, but at this point we're past Golbez, so a little less useful at this point.
Ooh, just a hollow harp from the Forge. So the real value of turn-in was the power shirts. But to your point about the ribbon, it also provides mage resistance. So if Ashura shows up at one of our required spots, this berserking party, you'll want the mage resist, especially since the moon can punch quite hard.
I do like mage resistance. I know there's 3 fights. We've already seen the Magus sisters. Ashura is probably, but you have the most control over that fight because when she takes any damage, she will punch you back, and that's kind of, and so Ashura is kind of at your own controllable battle type of thing. Then there's also the Baron Guards, which can be more of a nuisance depending on the flags, especially when when the boss bit is enabled for them.
Fortunately, Beano Free is off, so the Baron Guards are instant deathable, they're hourglassable. They shouldn't be a problem for our runners, who I believe both have found hourglasses, and both have picked up a rune axe from the treasury, so they'll be able to hit that mage weakness.
And we see a Mylon dancing. Could be the dance party. I'm hoping for dance party because he dances. It's the dance parties.
Well, it had to be the dance party because we saw Mylon Z on Mount Ordeals.
That's right.
This dance party isn't going to last very long, though, since Quake is happening.
Well, you gotta when the earth is shaking, you're kind of dancing to it. It's the
a little bit of involuntary dancing, yeah.
The damage is not a concern, although the Calbrana spot does have surprising spell power, so those lit have a really weak spell damage. Chances are a lot of your characters don't have any armor that has any sort of semblance of magic defense, so they're taking a bit more damage than you. Not so much a threat here, maybe a threat in different spots where magic spell power is actually heavier, but this is it's shocking but not as threatening. It is worth mentioning. Oh, sorry.
That's vanilla character number 6. Just for those keeping count at home.
Well, at this point, if she's not gonna be. There's no reason. There's kind of no reason to keep her. It's worth pointing out that because K7 is not on, whatever's at the Odin spot in the Baron basement is not relevant. I think both of our runners haven't even checked what's in the. Because again, K7 is not enabled. Don't care what the bosses are. Could at least peek them to see who is not in the pool. But if you want to save some time, just go with it and just fade it because you do so.
Soapbox might have had some motivation to check the Fey March when he went down because he hadn't seen Demas yet, but Blues had no reason whatsoever. And I don't think either of our runners did.
Yeah, I don't. There's no reason to check. So looting is fine. It just you don't, unless you're really looking for a specific. We're not doing a boss hunt here, so it's not. It's just basically everything on the moon you fade, and you choose to fade one spot. It's kind of the deal. At this point, you kind of decide which spot you want to fade. Ultimately, you can fade value because you basically do the LST, do the LST, the full clear of LST, not care. You can fade Mura because that is kind of out of the way. It's kind of a one-off, or you fade or Alta, which is kind of also one-off, but you kind of have to be already at the bottom to kind of get there. So we'll see who decides what, but what would you pick for the fade, or do you even
It
fade?
it depends on what bosses show up. So you leave a save at the top of the moon and go top and go down from there. Ooh, Soapbox went back to the Tower of Wishes to take the weapon off of Yang. I like that. That's a niche play. He remembered there was something there and decided he wanted it later.
I mean, no. I mean, at least you don't have to fight inventory boss when you at that point. I guess you do have the option when you meet the character just take off his equipment before they leave. So it's a
Yeah, but
but you
I'm
have
assuming he changed his mind.
yeah,
Saw it,
yeah.
decided he wanted it later. Simple as.
I mean, you
Ooh,
gotta
lose
have them all.
combine couple of silk webs too. That should help.
Yeah,
Doubling.
it's a good safety net. Anything else? I thought. Or,
Ooh, and Soapbox is doing a little bit of looting in the Lunar Path. This is nice. Going for these out of the way plays. Doing a little bit of gambling. I'm a fan of gambling for Enterprise.
I mean, you gotta gamble a little bit. I mean, right now, I don't think Soapbox is anything good for his main Zerkers. So at this point, this is just hoping for Hanzo Steel or no, it's really just Hanzo Steel because because your cane weapons are your options. The Super Smith didn't turn up anything worthwhile, and once you get the defense sword, unless you get the Dragoon outside of the Dragoon Spear, you're not
Yeah,
really
Dragoon Spear
excited.
will be nice. Especially since there's still a couple of dragons in the boss pool to deal with. The second half of the Dark Elf fight and Pale Dim. The Blues is going straight to Cave Bahamut and wipe an objective off the board.
At least, and for Bahamut, like you, even if you, the only real concern is if the boss is really hard to spot. As the Bahamut spot, all you remember is Blarg. The spell powers Blarg spell power. The powers of Blarg is really strong. It's the spell. It's the multiplier is dismal, but unfortunately, that spot doesn't adjust for punching because you've never seen Bahamut punch, and because whatever stat was overtuned because it was never didn't need to be checked. So with that, with the
It's the Dark Imps! Speaking of punching,
well, you got hourglass.
that's
So
yeah.
you've
This is hourglasses. Though those first 3 punches could land on an hourglass user. This should be fine for Blues though. He's gonna do a little bit of grinding first and make sure he's got oomph for the rest of the moon.
Yeah, especially when you feel a bit underpowered, there is no shame in do a little grind. However that grind you decide whether you do the hair dryer's chest that Soapbox aimed or using a siren to summon the King Ryu gold dragons. Those, however you get your experience, like if you didn't have a siren, you could go turn on back on encounters and fight the behemoth. Those are options on the table, so don't. There's no. You need, if you want that to kind of move smooth, that seed to move smoothly, you probably want a small grind to.
That's stone on pound, so they've got into the mid-30s it seems, which should be enough to catapult for the rest of the seed. Oh, late 30s even.
I mean, for the fight to go really smoothly, you either land the R and maybe alternatively, use the enemy if you didn't have hourglasses, which you have options on the table. It's better. So and level is usually give you better options on the table.
Levels solve frame dragons. If ever you're playing casually and struggle with something, just go get some more levels.
It's always once in a while worth mentioning inventory management. I think Soapbox was trying to find the hourglasses and came back and then found it the second time. Some more veteran runners typically do a lot more managing, usually within the same fight, because they can. Sometimes on the free turns where when you see the boss kind of disappears into the ether, that's plenty of time to do some rearranging. Instead of using the sort button, just to manually rearrange the most important or battle items to the top, and have all your
even with a
equipment.
managed inventory, you can forget where things are. It happens.
It happens.
It happens all the time. And to Soap's credit, he did eventually remember where they were.
Yeah, it's just one of those kind of small optimizations. But though right now they're trying to speed up the fight by kind of doing the slow kill. It's more likely that Blue's will have a faster fight because having a black mage, the opportunity to use stone, because having learned it to kind of.
Everyone loves off-slot stone.
Oh, yeah. It's better on Palom, and if you're never sure it's going to hit, you can always bluff your way to success. As bluff increases Palom's wisdom stat, and every 2 points of wisdom is 8% of spell accuracy. So it's 8%.
Can bluff? I know bluff can go above the normal wisdom cap. Can you bluff enough to get a guaranteed stone?
Actually, no. It hits the cap. It's capped at 99. It's definitely capped. I think stone's accuracy is at. So even at 99, you still have it's still like 79% chance, and that's off slot.
Yeah, I remember seeing a post in our Discord where you cannot achieve 100% accuracy with stone, even with the accuracy bonus from being in the middle. It maxes at just under 100%. It's like 99.7 or something.
Which is it's still 100% effectively. I mean, okay.
No, it's going to miss. You're going to rely on it. It's going to miss. It's Murphy's Law.
I'm a little more gambling for stone. Stone will fail you. It will happen. But I'm pro stone. Well, probably in the middle slot. Palom Fu Iridia, and that's it. No
Palom Iridia. Fu is
It's 50.
Yeah,
it's 50-50. If you have stock base, no equipment, just base Fu, 50-50. 50-50 is where everything's at.
Exactly. Either works or it doesn't. 50-50. And that's a nice song for one of our runners. The other is maybe ambivalent about it.
But facing the inventory boss, the boss where full in. This is this is the only I think there may be another FF, but at least in the SNES series of game, this is the only FF where the inventory boss exists forever, and you will. Fine. That's why hoarding all the items in here. No, you gotta eat something. It looks like Blues is setting up for the fight. I think the levels are more than enough. We'll probably get Palm to Nuke. Nuke is learned at level 52. Palm learns rocks at level 50. For who knows? Palm's a genius. So he likes rocks. He likes rocks than a nuke. Who knows why? I know we've seen Yang earlier. I feel like, with Blues gaining levels, I thought I saw Cat Claws in a shop. Would it have been worth? Do you think it would have been worth like swapping out the Cane, putting in the Yang, especially with the grind that has been going on?
No, we've had a defense sword for about an hour. it's Cane all the way.
Oh, commitment.
And here's Soapbox heading down to the Murasame altar. This boss shouldn't be terrible, and it isn't. Just Octoman, someone you can slow down very quickly just by hitting them.
Requires 3 hits for the slowdown. 2 after, but the first slowdown is first 3 damaging spells or just any sort of damage. Although probably incorrectly, but it doesn't matter. It effectively does the same thing. So the only concern about the part of Octomammoth is just getting him slow in the first place. And you can always, of course, you have the option.
All he does is punch.
Yeah.
So getting these blinks up is the way to go. Having 2 blink casters is paying off for Soapbox. We'll see how Blues does with this Octomammoth if he even goes there. He's checking the Moon Chop first, hoping probably at another swing at something nice. Maybe he hadn't seen Bacchus one yet. It was in Dwarf Castle. I know one of our runners didn't go and the other did.
Yeah, yeah. And the other shop that would have had have items, the all kind of popular, ever popular Eblin shop, but we having the hook kind of not late, but kind of in the middle. It's like you're not going out of your way for that shop at this point. So
yeah, that's definitely a late hook. If the hook isn't your logical way underground, it comes late.
of course, we'll see some differences in fight because basically it's between the twins. Soapbox has the Porum, Blues has Palom, and that's the between their teams. So it's we'll see how that translates, but there is a kind of a difference in how the fights play out, as Soapbox has to rely on blink strats for punchy enemies. Oh, and it's always nice to have, but especially if Palom is at nuke. I don't think Palom's quite at nuke yet. Probably we'll get it after everything, but you have the whole host of spells that you to use for every boss fight.
Blues' Palom is at level 48, so is probably a boss fight or 2 away from nuke.
Worth pointing out that Blue fewer key items, but has the 10 key items necessary for getting double XP. That is very invaluable, especially when you're in the LST where can be slow, and especially with having done the grind, which has been sped up. Just having double XP is immense. It's valuable, especially on top of if you're taking advantage of the life glitch. These two great to great impact for each of the fights.
And something niche coming from Blues is instead of casting the more powerful Quake, he's opting to cast the lower delay Virus to more quickly advance Octomam's script so that his Berserkers can do the bulk of the damage.
Yeah, a slower spell. It's not last as slow, but it's like stronger spells, and it's kind of, and it's fine. The slowest spell of them all is Rocks Meteor, and that's not happening. But Virus is an insta cast spell. Nuke is an insta cast spell. Your bread and butter for dispatching bosses whenever possible.
Yeah, Quake isn't a snail speed spell, but with this many actors, there isn't enough actors to sort of buffer out the Quake, so he wants the spells out immediately. Thus is going for the instant cast spell of Virus. And now, Soapbox has finished his sort of long walk down. Gonna hit up the Crystal Sword room, not Crystal Sword, White Spear Altar, and Ribbon room in some order. It's quicker if he's just peeking the bosses, it would be quicker for him to check the Ribbon room first, but the White Spear Altar has less HP.
Yeah, sometimes you want to, especially with if you're doing any sort of LSD dice. Sometimes you pick your bosses because if you want more, the Ribbon room. If you want the easier, the White Spear room is the freest. And of course, the French vanilla dragons, the D-Lunars, they decided to vacate their normal room and move. It's a good space.
And Soapbox is casting his curative magics on them because they are undead and thus take damage from curative magic. Cast Image with Edge, which is nice.
Yeah, it's a free blink. It's one less blink need. It can be reflected, so but not a real concern. But it's always good to be safe to be sorry, especially you never know where Punch was on the high side of things. But he's in the background, so he's usually reasonably safe. But you don't want your best Zerker to die. Though not actually using Zerk strats, because lots of bad things happen when you unwanted effects for trying to go after D-Lunars with physical attacks. Although, even at this spot, I don't think the spell power is as high, so I don't think the wall virus reflect shouldn't be as harmful. But
Ooh, a stroke of luck for Soapbox. Got the Lunar to cast Breath on his wall character, and now the fight is free. That Toad will sit there forever, trying to cast fire to no avail. And now you can bunch it, because it's not going to do anything.
if you are doing that reflect trick, but you're doing but both D-Lunars are only one of them are frogs, you always want to attack the frog, so that the wall fails to be cast, and then they start virus the D-Lunar that isn't a frog will pretty much virus the frog, and that is lots of fun and hilarity. And now you're seeing the pain. Well, this is the spell power. Well, it still hurts.
when the Lunars are in the wall virus script, does dropping down to 1 switch it to its solo script where it's just going to cast fire over and over?
I believe it's like the top part of the script. It does. No, hold on. Let me think about this for a minute. I think it still does the virus. I think it eventually stops. But the counter fire is always going to be a thing regardless.
Looks like it does, because that would have been another virus. It's just taking an action on its own.
Yeah.
And here's a dragon. Paled him in the ribbon room. Hopefully, and looks like Soapbox is gonna reset out, set up better, or even fade it.
It's a setup better. I don't think the white spear doesn't make a difference because it's actually not resistance to white. I don't think it makes a difference. Although you'll do more damage with the defense sword because it has a better accuracy value. I think it's like 90%. Most of Cane spears, I think Drain spear being the big exception, and the spear being the big exceptions, 80%. So probably one having generally increases the damage dealt. Accuracy in this game is kind of interesting. It's as it kind of allows multiple hits on well, not visually, but how much. So when you have closer to 100%, your hit attack multiplier is essentially the number of hits you're dealing to the enemy. If you have it for 50%, like having the Drain Sword, then your attack multiplier is literally effective. So you have attack multiplier 10, 50% accuracy means that you're more likely to have 5 hits. It could be more like 4 or it could be 6 or somewhere in between because RNG, but it's kind of unique of the other Final Fantasies, at least the SNES ones.
And while our runners are both dealing with the slow casts from Pale Dim, we'll take a second and shout out the people working behind the scenes to make this possible, and Jadave on the restream, and Garen on tracking. Without them, we wouldn't really have a show.
Yeah, quite. Yeah, because tracking is a lot of work, and then seeing the fires get put out, or are there fires? There are no fires. And also,
there is no war in Bossing set.
There's and also worth court. Talk about things about this race. Talk about all things free enterprise and shenanigans behind the scenes. Because if there isn't enough shenanigans, there is plenty of it. So also check out the runners. And their streams because are putting up a really entertaining show here.
It looks like Blues is the first one through Pale Dim, and there's Nuke on Palom. The rest of the seed will be a lot of damage. Oh, and an Avenger. That's a nice start.
No, Kane Venger. That's it. Just load Kane on it. Call it a day. It's you could. I mean, it's also a great weapon for Cecil if he seed. But there are a lot of kind of fun things you can do with the Avenger sword with glitching, where if you have his strongest weapon like the Crystal or even X-Cal, and then swap it to the Avenger in mid-battle. Retains all the properties of the weapon previously equipped, not the Avenger, and just goes Zerk. Still applies the Zerk bonus. It's a fun glitch to take advantage of, but just keep leaving it on Kane for the bulk of battle. Although not for the Z fight, not initially. Still worth kind of swapping in mid battle.
You know, I didn't catch if Blue saved. He definitely used a cabin, so he should be in fighting shape to take on this Masamune altar. And Soapbox once again hitting the inventory boss, cleaning things up. Oh, here's dolls. Quake. Does Quake do enough here?
It should be. If it doesn't, just still the back row is the more concerning. Yep. See, there's only one.
Just one. Yep.
Quickly, and not Blink. Does it not really concerned. This spot punches. It's okay. It punches a bit, but dolls are at this spot not your real threat. You get your Quake off and forget about it. Soapbox will have a little bit more challenging time, although there are a few things in the toolkit to kind of mitigate some of that.
And with his 5th objective completed, Blues Eclipse has received the Crystal and will be able to fight Zeromus, or at the very least to make him vulnerable.
Just swag rock all the way. Don't it's a race. You still want to do it because you can, and it's not like that fight. For at least Blue's case, wasn't what probably set up for the fight. I think it could have been done a bit earlier, but it's fine. You kind of if you were to set up, you want to set up for both, essentially for both fights. Even though you don't know what the fight what the boss fight is, but you kind of have the it's that time of the seed where I think we may call it a nap or something. I don't know.
No, the best part's about to happen.
Pray tell, what could that possibly be?
So this is going to be the fight against Zeromus, and Zeromus is a complicated script. And it's a script that makes it unviable to put him in regular boss locations. He heals himself up he heals himself up. He has a lot of magic power, so we leave him at the end of the game. What we do instead is randomize his sprite. After the crystal is thrown, his true form will be revealed, and it's something that hopefully none of us have seen before. Which leads to the eternal question of, whose butt are we kicking tonight?
With side questions like, does it have a butt? Is butt cute? All questions will be known very soon.
It looks like Blues Eclipse is going for hybrid strats in the Zeromus fight, throwing up a Star Veil on Palom, because while Zeromus will directly counter a spell that is cast on him, it's Sans, Undertale. There is a glitch in this game wherein if you reflect a spell, it doesn't trigger any counters when it hits.
And it's that's a bug that you really want to take advantage of, because if we had a team of wizards, full reflex strats would be on the table. It would be a thing because it prevents Zeromus. Part of the script would normally try to do a secret hidden HP refill. And if capped to 65,535 or something, because
it's 61k.
It's capped if you could actually edit it. But it's 60,000. But you got, because bits. You gotta try to save up some bits. You want to do some creative things. So, but avoiding the healing trigger when it reaches around like 20, it's like 1,500. It's 15,000. It's a number under 20,000, and you want to. If you had all mages, you'd want. But since this is a hybrid group, and with only one offense, I think Rosa might be able to use white at this point. It probably shouldn't be.
She's almost certainly is able to. Blues is electing to instead, have his healer heal the party.
Yeah, this is.
The plan might just be to not nerf, because he's got enough HP where if his party's all at full, everyone but Palom survives full roll from a unnerfed Big Bang.
It's fine, and all the buffering, even having Sid do some, he's not going to do incredible damage, but he slows down the boss. But a lot of buffering going on, and that helps out with allowing a lot more safer plays to happen. You know, you can to just heal up, even maybe use Cure 2, Cure 3 potion on Palom. Well, just because it's safety, you can do just a lot of safer things when you just clog up the queue with Zerkers.
Yep, boss can't take an action if you're taking all the actions.
If Rose is still running using the Herald Road, because that white not exactly damaging, especially with the white robe. It's definitely affecting her spell power. But well, he's going down.
There it is, with the crack boom and Zeromus crumbling. Blue's Eclipse is the first finisher on Restream and the first finisher in this race, with a time of 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 19 seconds. We're gonna see if he's gonna join us for an interview shortly.
GG's the Blues.
And we are joined by Blues Eclipse. GG's Blues. How do you feel about this seed?
I have to admit, for once I was actually confident in the late game, simply because of the fact that with darkness being buried where it was, I figured it was, I have to admit, unlikely that a lot of people. For once I was actually confident in late game, simply because of the fact that with darkness being buried where...
I mean, you had the most fortunate and kind of surprising, because your opponent had essentially everything else, you know, both magma and the hook. So roll away, and it rolled that way. I guess the question I have is, what would you not consider going to the moon having darkness? Because you didn't have to do any part of the underground. You had
I
little
didn't
headed.
have to, but at the same time, I wanted to get to 10 key items and also check for sirens and other things to enable the grind.
Yeah, fair enough. You definitely took advantage of it, because I mean, definitely saw the King Ryu grind, and I think the major difference between you and your opponent really just picking up Palom. I think you had opportunities to pick up a Porum, but didn't manage, or probably didn't hit the areas where we need to.
I could have picked up Mysidia. I mean, I had the choice of both twins there. I went with Palom because I already had Rose as a white mage.
Oh yeah, no thoughts into any thoughts into yeeting Kane at any point, or were you happy with the early power that he had and kept on using him?
Honestly, there wasn't much that was going to make me get rid of Kane. More likely, I would have gotten rid of Sid if the opportunity came up and I saw something like a Cecil. But Kane had enough power available to him that I figured honestly, I was expecting to use him as a secondary DPS. I didn't expect him to be my primary DPS like he turned out to be. But realistically, unless I found Cecil, the party that I had after Mysidia was going to be the party I finished with.
Fair enough. Skiercer, you had a few questions to ask.
Not particularly. I think you've covered everything. Any final thoughts on the seed, Blues?
Honestly, I think this was definitely an interesting seed. The gamble I took with just beelining some of those less frequently done objectives like Cave Magnus absolutely paid off with where the Darkness Crystal turned out to be. And I knew going into that if Darkness Crystal was not somewhere within that the gamble that choice would have cost me the race. So definitely quite a bit of luck playing into this, but overall I'm happy with how things turned out.
Well, it takes skill to leverage luck into a victory, and you've performed very well. GG's.
Thank you, and GG's to everyone else racing.
And that was Blues Eclipse, our first place winner. In the meantime, Soapbox has been fighting Zeromus, handling the fight very well, without much using, knowing that most of the items which do healing or effects are treated as spells for Zeromus' counters. I saw him nerf with a big bomb with a heal potion. He's been managing that timing very well and should get through this fight, assuming he can continue to heal his party with Rosa. There's the stray nuke. But it hit Kane, who should live.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those unfortunate where I've like both White Wizards in the same fight were down. Really a little scary. I mean, it's a little off the rails, but it's still able to kind of come back. It's kind of one of those unfortunate things where, I mean, I can underperform, having the lower HP going down, but having both Rosa and Porm going down can be, dicey for a bit. But but the characters at hand, on hand, especially with the Sid, does the best thing you can do is make things don't go completely off the rails, and I think that's having Sid, cursed Sid, but still having the kind of big chunk of HP still available. Look, not having quite the same kind of cures a lot of things, and still good enough to do what he needs to do to keep the fight going. I think that Crystal is to try to nerf the Big Bang. I think that was the attempt. We'll have to see when the Big Bang comes.
That might have been early. A lot of actions are happening in between, but we'll see. At the very least, his Sid and Kane have enough HP to tank an unnerfed Big Bang.
Yeah, it's always have the safety. That looks like the nerf one. Yeah, that was good. Having the Berserkers doing their thing helps a lot with the timing. Cure 4s are instant compared to all the other spells. Noise and
Here's
Edge.
Media.
Edge is like rocks. What rocks?
Yeah, Edge has a little bit of the Wisdom and Will growth to gain a Magic Evade roll or two. Is it just one roll for Zeromus' Medio?
It's one roll. Edge at that level at least has two rolls, two chances. Usually getting multiple. Not so much the other side, although it does get one from the Wisdom Will combo, but Agility is what powers his Magic Evasion, and there he goes.
And that has Soapbox finishing second on Restream, fourth overall in this race with an official time of 1 hour, 31 minutes, and 42 seconds. And it looks like he'll be joining us for an interview shortly.
GG's the Soapbox. Different. It was interesting, like his rate. The difference, like if you caught on like to find seeing a runner having both both the magma key and the hook, you'd think you'd have the full advantage, and that just didn't happen. This seed would tell you.
Well, it's K main, and the game likes to make chains, so the Darkness Crystal, of course, ended up buried. But Soapbox did very well. His Zeromus fight could have ended in a wipe, and it did not. It's a well-earned position. And in a big race like this, 4th place is still very good performance.
Quite.
And while we're waiting for Soapbox to join us, I'm going to take one more chance to shout out the people behind the scenes. Garen on tracking and Ninja Dave on Restream. They make the lights show up and make it so that this is a Twitch stream and not a radio show.
Did Twitch kill the radio show?
Maybe. Maybe even killed the radio star. And we are joined by Soapbox, who finished second on Restream. GG's, Soapbox.
I appreciate it. GG's, guys. How's everybody doing?
We're doing well. That Zeromus fight was something, wasn't it? You handled that very well. Better than I would have.
Well, I think that was the only rush. I think that was the only difficult moment that I've had in that race. Frankly, I just kind of had a couple time dumps just wandering around looking for stuff. But yeah, that Z fight decided to bring me the business relatively quickly.
Yeah, but you showed him what for. You have any thoughts overall about the seed, about how it treated you?
I felt great about it right up until Z. And as soon as I walked into the fight, 3 people finish, and just like, and then Z proceeded to continue to give me the same nonsense by knocking out Rosa 3 separate times. I'm like, thanks, man. Really appreciate you.
Well, I mean, perfect Z targeting. I think. I mean, you. I mean, I think for everyone watching the race, thought you probably. You had to kind of in the driver's seat for a bit. I mean, you got the magma key, you got the hook. So, obviously. How was that? I guess how was the feeling that you kind of were still looking for the darkness at that point?
I started to get a little scared when all of a sudden I finished the pan turn in and I still don't have what I need. I really start to get antsy with Lunar stuff if you're at the 30th to 40th minute and you don't have what you need to get to the moon. And you start wondering, okay, did I forget something? Did I screw something up? Did I mess up routing? The routing was nice enough to at least have me go into pan turn and into music, into Zot, and basically swept one side of the world out in one shot. It's just to finally arrive at it with the Baron key was just rough. At least it made the dive worth it, at least the way the chain went. It just doesn't have you feel good when you're arriving at it the 40th minute and you're just thinking, okay, do I have enough of a party to try to at least steal a spot and start jumping the experience? Do I have enough time to use my 4 sirens? I decided to go to the moon, see if there was something easy, and then what killed me was, I'm happy I bought the hourglasses. Otherwise, I would have never gotten through Bahamut at all. And at least that jump started it where I don't have to start discussing those sirens, and then I slowly work my way through. I just feel bad that the bosses were time dumps. I lost a lot of time just hacking away at Pilden, hacking away at hacking away at a couple other spots there. But I felt it was clean from that point. It's just I needed an extra 4 to 6 minutes.
Looking for sirens? Because I think sirens were at Tamara.
No, I bought
you
5 or 6 of them. I just never. I got
never
one
got
to
to use-
jumpstart them with the eggs, but then after that, I felt like it didn't have time to burn the other 5.
I mean, it does. I mean, it's a race. Did you have any thoughts on the Palom that you could have picked up? Or did you miss the Palom? I think it was Palom was at Mysidia. I think you had the option to take him. And
By that point, I was committed to. At that point, I was committed to. At least a double Zerg party, especially with 2 white mages. I was like, they have enough levels. I don't want to start dragging Palom along. Although I regret it after, obviously I didn't feel good about it when I found a Stardust staff. But at the same time, at that point, I had enough that I thought I could get through. Maybe I would sneak. Maybe on the moon, I would grab a random, another blade for edge instead of walking in with a mute knife. But that's the only thing I really did. I was a little bummed out about. But at least I'd found enough storage to actually have it dart instead. So I felt good about it. It was just, I just needed about 6 more minutes.
your opponent did not have any good weapons for edge. But yeah, throwing all the things was probably a good choice either way. Any questions, Scars?
No, I think you've covered everything. Just once again, GG's. That Zeromus fight was beautiful. You handled it very well. You should take some pride in how that went, even though it tried to kick your butt.
I appreciate that. I mean, that was one of my more sketchier ones, so I'm actually happy I got through one shot. At that point, I knew entering. I was like, well, if you reset, you're gonna finish last. You can't do it, so you have to figure a way through. And at least that felt good. But GG's the Blues. Well done. I saw him sneak in when I was starting to finish. I was like, but GG's to everybody. That was a fun race.
GG's again, Soapbox.
All right, take care, guys. Appreciate you, restreamers.
Take care. And that was Soapbox Gamer. And this was going to bring us to the end of our restream. We'll be heading over to Inven, who is playing some Push B to Jump. Once again, I'm Scarcerer. I was joined by Deathlike on comms. Andrew Dave was doing the restream, and Garen was on track. Good night, y'all.
See you all next seed.